almost every argument you've ever had, every misunderstanding that left you confused, every moment you wondered why did they do that, could have been handled differently if you understood one thing: human psychology. Not manipulation, not tricks, not mind games, but the real patterns behind why people think, react, withdraw, love, compete, avoid, and self-sabotage the way they do. If you've ever felt frustrated by people, confused by yourself, or tired of repeating the same emotional cycles, then this isn't just another topic. This might be the skill you've been missing your entire life. And by the end of this video, you may realize that reading human psychology isn't optional if you want to move through life with clarity instead of constant confusion. People go through life reacting. Someone ignores them, they assume disrespect. Someone criticizes them, they assume attack. Someone pulls away, they assume rejection. But psychology teaches you something powerful. Behavior is rarely random. It's patterned, it's conditioned, it's often protective. When you begin to study human psychology, you stop taking everything personally. You start asking better questions. Instead of what's wrong with them, you ask what might they be protecting. Instead of why does this always happen to me, you ask what pattern am I unconsciously repeating. That shift alone can change the quality of your relationships overnight. Reading human psychology sharpens your emotional intelligence. You begin to notice micro behaviors most people overlook. Tone shifts, body language, avoidance patterns, defensive humor, passive aggression. You understand that anger is often disguised fear, that arrogance can hide insecurity, that silence can signal overwhelm, not indifference. And when you see these layers, you respond differently. You become calmer in conflict, more strategic in communication, less reactive under pressure. Because when you understand the mechanism behind behavior, it loses its power to destabilize you. But this isn't just about understanding others. It's about understanding yourself on a level most people never reach. Human psychology reveals why you procrastinate even when you care. Why you chase approval even when you're independent. Why you overthink small interactions but ignore bigger emotional issues. It exposes the subconscious beliefs shaping your decisions. Many of the habits you think are personality traits are actually coping strategies you built years ago. Once you see them clearly, you can decide whether to keep them or outgrow them. There's another reason reading psychology matters, especially in today's world. We live in a time where influence is constant. Advertising, social media algorithms, political messaging, workplace dynamics, everything is designed around psychological triggers. Scarcity, social proof, fear, validation. If you don't understand psychology, you're constantly being influenced without realizing it. When you do understand it, you gain awareness, and awareness creates freedom. You recognize when someone is appealing to your insecurity, when urgency is artificially created, when comparison is being used to manipulate your self-worth. You stop being unconsciously controlled by systems built to exploit human behavior. Psychology also teaches you how habits form and how they break. Most people rely on motivation to change their lives, but psychology shows that behavior is driven more by environment and reinforcement than inspiration. Once you understand this, self-improvement stops feeling mysterious. You realize that discipline isn't about willpower alone, it's about structure. You learn how dopamine shapes addiction, how repetition wires neural pathways, how small rewards build momentum. Reading psychology gives you practical tools to redesign your routines instead of just blaming yourself for not being strong enough. And then there's the social advantage. When you understand human psychology, you communicate differently. You frame ideas in ways people are more likely to accept. You listen for emotional subtext, not just words. You know when someone needs logic and when they need reassurance. This isn't manipulation, it's empathy with strategy. It allows you to build stronger friendships, healthier romantic relationships, and more effective professional connections. People naturally trust those who understand them, and psychology helps you do exactly that. But here's something deeper. Studying psychology builds patience. When you truly understand that people are shaped by childhood experiences, trauma, cultural expectations, biological wiring, and reinforcement patterns, you become less judgmental. You realize that someone's harsh reaction might be rooted in years of feeling unheard. That someone's need for control may come from growing up in chaos. This perspective doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it explains it. An explanation creates emotional distance. You stop absorbing other people's storms as if they were your own. There's also a powerful internal shift that happens when you read psychology consistently. You begin to observe your thoughts instead of automatically believing them. Cognitive distortions become visible. Catastrophizing, black and white thinking, mind reading. Once you can label these patterns, they lose intensity. Anxiety becomes more manageable. Self-doubt becomes more rational. You understand that your brain evolved to detect threat, not to guarantee happiness, and that awareness changes how seriously you take your fears. However, there's a balance to maintain. Reading psychology shouldn't turn you into someone who overanalyzes every interaction. The goal isn't to dissect people until connection feels clinical. The goal is awareness, not detachment. Used properly, psychology makes you more human, not less. It deepens compassion. It strengthens boundaries. It clarifies decisions. But if misused, it can become a tool for control or excessive self-criticism. Like any powerful knowledge, its impact depends on intention. Another benefit most people don't expect is confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence, kind that comes from understanding patterns. When you studied attachment styles, you don't panic as quickly when someone pulls away. When you understand projection, you don't internalize every insult. When you know about emotional regulation, you don't feel ashamed for needing space. Knowledge reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is one of the biggest sources of anxiety in human life. Reading psychology also helps you make peace with complexity. Humans are contradictory. Someone can love you and still hurt you. You can be strong and insecure at the same time. Growth isn't linear. Psychology teaches you to tolerate nuance instead of demanding simplicity, and that mental flexibility is rare. It prevents extreme thinking. It reduces impulsive decisions. It allows you to sit with ambiguity without collapsing into confusion. So why should you read human psychology? Because it's the operating manual no one gives you. School teaches math, history, language, but rarely how to understand the mind driving every decision you make. Psychology fills that gap. It explains motivation, fear, love, competition, insecurity, resilience, habit formation, and influence. It helps you recognize red flags early. It teaches you how to respond instead of react. It shows you how to grow intentionally instead of accidentally. Maybe most importantly, it helps you break cycles, family patterns, relationship patterns, self-sabotage patterns. When you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt it. Without awareness, you repeat what feels familiar. With awareness, you choose what's healthier. But remember this, reading psychology isn't about becoming superior or hyper-analytical. It's about becoming conscious. It's about moving from automatic living to intentional living, from emotional chaos to emotional clarity, from confusion to comprehension. If you've ever wondered why certain relationships feel draining, why you attract similar personalities, why success sometimes feels uncomfortable, why your habits resist change, the answers aren't random. They're psychological, and the more you study them, the less life feels like something happening to you and the more it feels like something you're actively shaping. So maybe the real question isn't why you should read human psychology. Maybe it's how long you're willing to navigate life without understanding the system running beneath it. Because once you start seeing patterns, you can't unsee them. And once you understand yourself and others at that level, you stop moving blindly. You move intentionally.